If you told me a year ago that a broken-down station wagon on the side of a snowy highway would change the entire course of my life, I probably would have laughed. Not a big laugh, just that tired, polite kind, the kind you give strangers at grocery stores when they ask how you're doing and you don't feel like unpacking the truth. But life's funny like that. It never asks permission before turning a regular Tuesday into the start of a story you'll never forget. It started on the outskirts of Willow Pass, a small Colorado town tucked between the mountains and a highway most people only used when they were going somewhere far more important. I was driving to work, my old Chevy heater coughing out warm air in uneven breaths, thinking about the bills I needed to pay, the lunch I packed for my son, and the way my life had quietly shrunk into the exact size of survival. My name's Cal Turner, by the way. Widowed dad. Backyard mechanic. Professional pretender of I'm fine. My son Noah was 9, still asleep under a mountain of blankets back home. He never complained, not even when things got tight. He had this way of trusting me, believing I could fix anything. Cars, leaky roofs, broken bikes, broken hearts if he asked. On that morning, the snow was drifting sideways across the highway, thick enough that it softened every sound around me. That's when I saw it. A faded blue station wagon, hood up, steam rising like it was exhaling its last warm breath. And beside it, a woman. She wasn't waving for help. Wasn't panicking. She just stood there, staring into the engine bay with this expression, tight, exhausted, determined, not the look of someone inconvenienced. The look of someone who'd been running on empty for a very long time. But what stopped me wasn't the car. It was the 3 figures huddled near the passenger door. 3 kids. Bundled in mismatched coats. Silent. Watching the world with the kind of hungry patience you can't mistake once you've seen it. I pulled in before I could talk myself out of it. I'd been the one in need before. I remembered how humiliating it felt when no one stopped. As I stepped out, the cold bit through my jeans, sharp and fast. The woman looked up, her dark hair windblown beneath a knit hat, and the first thing she said wasn't hello. It was. You don't have to stop. We're fine. A lie so thin it was almost see-through. I'm a mechanic, I said, keeping my voice easy. And that car of yours looks about as fine as a 3-legged chair. For half a second, she almost smiled. Almost. My name's Cal, I added. She hesitated before replying, I'm Rowan. No last name. Just Rowan. Fine by me. Some people aren't hiding, they're protecting something. While I looked over the engine, the kids drifted closer to a gas station vending machine nearby, staring through the glass at the snacks like they were watching a movie they couldn't afford to buy tickets for. Not pressing buttons. Not begging. Just hoping. I felt my chest tighten. I knew that look. When Noah was younger, there were nights when dinner was whatever I could stretch into something believable. No father ever forgets that kind of hunger in a child's eyes. I opened the truck door, grabbed Noah's untouched lunch, PB&J, crusts cut off, extra jelly, and walked it over. This sandwich is magic, I whispered, kneeling down. My boy swears by it. The oldest girl, maybe 10, blinked hard. The youngest boy reached for the bag like it might disappear if he moved too quickly. That was all the thanks I needed. I didn't look at Rowan when I walked back. But I felt her watching. The engine was cooked. Radiator blown. Battery barely clinging to life. They weren't getting anywhere in that car today. You got a place to stay? I asked gently. She squeezed her hands together inside her sleeves. We'll figure something out. I nodded slowly. You and those 3 little ones need more than figuring out. My place isn't fancy, but it's warm. You can stay one night. Her shoulders stiffened, fear mixed with pride, the kind that comes from someone who's had to defend herself too many times. Why? She whispered. I shrugged. Because someone once gave me a chance I didn't deserve. And just like that, she nodded. Not out of trust. Out of exhaustion. Sometimes, yes, means, I'm too tired to run anymore. I loaded them all into my Chevy. The kids sat in the back, their heads leaning together like they were stitched from the same cloth of worry. Rowan rode in the passenger seat, her posture stiff, clutching a small backpack like it contained everything that mattered. I didn't ask questions. Not then. Questions have sharp edges. Answers even sharper. My cabin wasn't much, just a living room with mismatched furniture, a kitchen that smelled faintly of coffee grounds, and a wood stove that crackled like an old friend clearing his throat. But when I opened the door, warm air rolled over us like a soft blanket. Noah peeked out from his room, rubbing sleep from his eyes. "Dad? We have visitors." "Just for a bit," I said. "Be polite." He nodded, staring at the kids with curiosity. The smallest boy clutched a toy car in his fist, one wheel missing, paint chipped. Noah knelt beside him. "You like cars?" he asked. Finn nodded, wide-eyed. "Wanna see my favorite one?" Finn nodded again, harder. And just like that, the house changed. It didn't get louder, it got fuller. Like someone opened all the windows in a stuffy room and let the air move again. Rowan stood beside the doorway, watching, overwhelmed in a way she didn't show before. Not fear, relief. The kind that arrives so suddenly it almost hurts. I handed her a mug of warm tea, and she cupped it like it was made of glass. "You look like someone who hasn't rested in a long time," I said quietly. "I can't rest," she murmured. "If I stop moving, everything catches up." I didn't know what she meant then, but I would soon enough. That first night, after the kids fell asleep in a blanket fort the four of them built in the living room, Rowan sat at my kitchen table staring at her hands like they held confessions she wasn't ready to speak. I didn't push. I'd learned that silence is its own invitation. "Finally," she said, "we left Nevada 3 weeks ago." Her voice cracked a little on the word left. "We've been sleeping in the car. My kids, they think it's an adventure." I stayed quiet. My oldest, Iris, she knows it's not. She saw me crying at a rest stop. I told her I just missed home, but the truth is, Rowan swallowed hard. We don't have a home anymore. I didn't know what to say. What could I say? So I nodded slowly and offered the only thing I had. "You're safe here. At least for tonight." She wiped her cheeks with the sleeve of her sweater. "You don't even know us." "I know enough." And for the first time since I'd met her, Rowan breathed. Not a little sigh, an actual breath, like her body finally remembered how. That night I lay awake listening to the soft hum of the stove and the faint breathing of 5 sleeping kids scattered across my living room floor. It should have felt overwhelming. It didn't. It felt right. The next days settled into a strange, beautiful rhythm. I'd work in the garage, Noah and the kids would help sort tools or color pictures on old invoices. Rowan cleaned, cooked, organized, always moving like she was trying to repay a debt I never said she owed. Every once in a while, though, I'd catch her staring out the window with that faraway look. The look of someone who left something behind, not because she wanted to, but because she had to. One morning, as we swept snow off the porch, Rowan finally whispered the truth. "I wasn't running from a person," she said. "I was running from myself." I waited. "I used to run a nonprofit," she continued. "Housing for single mothers. Grants. Community support. People counted on me." Her voice trembled. "I failed them." "How?" "I trusted the wrong partner. My name ended up on paperwork I never approved. Funds disappeared. And suddenly, I wasn't the woman helping other mothers anymore. I was the woman headlines blamed." I blinked slowly, letting the weight of her words settle. "You weren't guilty," I said gently. "I wasn't careful," she whispered. And that was enough. She wrapped her arms around herself. I thought if I could just get my kids far enough away, I could start over before they realized their mother had become someone people whispered about. I leaned against the railing. You know, I used to think running was failure too, I said. But sometimes running is how you survive long enough to rebuild. She looked at me then, really looked. And something shifted. Not romance. Not yet. But recognition. Two tired souls realizing they weren't alone in their breaking. Over the next few weeks, the cabin changed again. It became a place of noise and healing. Iris taught Noah how to braid friendship bracelets. The twins pretended the broom was a microphone and gave concerts on the coffee table. Rowan cooked soup the way her grandmother taught her, slow, layered, patient. And I found myself smiling more than I had in years. But the real turning point came the day I fixed Rowan's car. I'd been avoiding it. Partly because I didn't want her to feel pressured to leave. Partly, selfishly, because I didn't want her to leave. But eventually, I rolled the Mustang into the garage and spent 3 long days repairing everything broken: engine, radiator, belts, even the stitching on the front seats. I didn't tell her when it was done. I waited. That night, after the kids were asleep, I led her to the garage and flicked on the lights. The Mustang gleamed under the fluorescent glow like a restored memory. Rowan gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "You fixed it," she whispered. "All of it." I shrugged awkwardly. It deserved a second chance. She stepped closer, fingers tracing the hood. "So did I," she said softly. I didn't know what to say. Didn't need to. The moment was enough. But then, she opened the glove box. Inside was an envelope she didn't recognize. Forwarded mail. A letter. She opened it, eyes scanning fast. When she looked up, her voice shook. "They cleared my name," she whispered. "The board, they admitted it. They apologized." A long breath escaped her. "They want me to come back," she added faintly. My heart thudded once, hard. "Do you want to?" I asked. Rowan leaned back against the car, thinking for a long time. "No," she finally said. "Not like before. Not to climb. Not to prove anything. But maybe I could rebuild something new. Something honest. Something real." She looked at me then. "I just don't want to lose this," she said, her voice suddenly small. "You. The kids. This home we've built without meaning to." I stepped closer. "You're not losing anything," I said. "You're growing. Maybe that's the point." Rowan's eyes filled with a kind of hope I hadn't seen in a long time, fragile but alive. And then she handed me something. The spare key to the Mustang. "In case I ever forget where home is," she whispered. I didn't kiss her. She didn't kiss me. But some things don't need lips to be promises. Spring came slowly that year. The snow melted. The garden we planted began to push tiny green shoots upward. The kids laughed louder. Rowan started sketching ideas for a community project she called Root and Rise, a place for mothers with nowhere to go, somewhere safe, somewhere real. And me? I fixed cars. Made sandwiches. Kept the porch light on every night, even when we didn't need it. Because some lights aren't about seeing. They're about being found. One evening, while the kids played tag in the yard, Rowan stood beside me watching the sunset bleed gold across the mountains. "You know," she murmured, "when we first met, I thought you were just a stranger stopping out of guilt." I smiled. "And now?" She exhaled a soft laugh, leaning her shoulder into mine. "Now I know you were the place the road was leading me to." We stood there as the sky dimmed, as the air cooled, as the porch light flicked on, quiet, steady, warm. Home isn't always where you start. Sometimes it's where someone chooses to stay. And just when I thought our story had settled into something simple, something tender, a letter arrived. Another one. Addressed to Rowan. But this one didn't come from a board of investors. Or a lawyer. Or anyone seeking her out. It was from a woman states away, a stranger. She wrote. I read about your new project. I heard what you're building. I've got 2 kids and nowhere to go. Tell me, is there room for one more? Rowan looked at me, fear and faith wrestling quietly behind her eyes. I smiled. That's your answer, I said gently. You're not done yet. And we both knew. Neither was our story. So let me ask you watching this. Do you think Rowan should rebuild her career from Willow Pass? Should she open her doors to others the way someone opened theirs for her? And do you believe second chances are earned, or given? Tell me what you think in the comments. Your perspective matters more than you know.